Before I start the video, I just want to say thanks to the following people for subscribing, and forgive me if I pronounce these names incorrectly. Jolene Wyremew, Tinell29, Honeybees, and UTE Menace. Thanks for becoming a dark one. I really do appreciate it. This was a story I was following on my Facebook page last year, and I just thought that it was nuts the way it had ended, so I Googled it the other day just to see if there were any new developments in it, and there were. So, let me know if you heard about this story, and if you didn't, let me know what you think about this story. Now, certain events have been slightly changed because this case is currently pending, and I have an exact source I used in the description box, so if you want to find out a little bit more about the investigation part of it, because I did find it quite fascinating, again, it is in the description box, and everything in this video is alleged, and it is solely my opinion, and it probably is a little bit more dramatic than some of my other videos, maybe, I'm not quite sure, but I hope you understand where I was trying to go with this video. So, here goes. Marrero, Louisiana, October 3rd, 2020. It's hard to believe a little over 20 years ago to have met someone over the computer. You would have to have been desperate. There weren't any terms like social media, online, texting, none of those words that we throw around now. But it's the norm to meet people online and to date them. And I'm guilty of it. Anything from blind dates, lonely heart ads, single bars, dating services, chat lines, and now dating apps, any of those can put you in dangerous situations. We grow with the times, but the level of the unknown is still scary. I'm about to tell you a story about a woman named Jessica. Jessica Mayon-Troulliet, 36 years old. She had a profile on a dating app called Tagged. I believe she was like most young women, want to fall in love, be in love, stay in love, and live happily ever after. She reminds me of myself in some ways. She didn't care about the race of the man, about his finances, as long as he treated her right and respected her, and most definitely was honest. She couldn't tolerate liars. Liars bring problems. Now, before I tell you about that fateful night that would just turn everyone's life upside down, I want to tell you a little bit more about Jessica Mayon. The first man that she married, he was a black man. For whatever reasons, they divorced. Probably were too young to really understand what they were doing, but only knowing that they had once been in love. Later, she met and married Christopher Troulliet, and she became Jessica Mayon-Troulliet. They would raise 2 children together, boys, and Jessica was crazy about her sons. So like most young married people, they paid bills, brought furniture, cleaned house, watched kids, bickered a little bit, the normal things. And unfortunately, her husband had developed an addiction. Jessica was still going to stick it through with her husband to the end. He was a good person, a good father, a good husband. She wasn't going to let this stand in the way of their happiness, but it did. His addiction had separated them. Jessica had to do what was best for her and take care of her boys and try to move on with her life. Honestly, her and Chris was playing on again, off again. The love was still there, and the promises were still broken. By this time, Jessica had her third son, and it wasn't by her estranged husband. Unfortunately, the relationship with her third son's father didn't work out either. So Jessica was pregnant and had 2 kids and a third one on the way, just trying to make ends meet and take care of her small but ever-growing family. Chris, her husband, had wanted to come back in her life. He said he was clean and he was ready to make the relationship work. He accepted that she had a child on the way that wasn't his, and he wanted to be with everybody. You couldn't have stopped them if you wanted to. And they moved on and with each other. Now we all know if you're an addict and you're not truly ready to give up that vice, nothing is going to fully happen. So the couple would separate again. I don't know if any one of you had experience like that, but it's hard. It becomes hard on the family, the marriage, the individuals. I'm not gonna lie, she was an emotional wreck. But she would play hard on the outside, but on the inside, she melted like butter. I think deep down inside, she still hoped for her marriage with Chris. She wanted that to work out. On her social media page, she posted on August 31st, 2020, a meme. If you want to grow, you need to let some people go. Also, on that day, in her own words, she posted, quote, "Most of you was never my friends. I was just yours. Now I know the difference," end quote. On September 1st, 2020, she posted a meme. "I miss the days when my smile was real." So it really seems like Jessica was really going through something this past couple of weeks. On September 5th, 2020, she posted in her own words, quote, "Don't give up on me," end quote. She was listening to a song by Queen Naija. There is a verse in the song that says, "Devil, you can't have my mind. Devil, you can't have my soul. I belong to God." She found out her husband, the one she hoped would one day return to her drug-free so they could continue to work on everything that they had talked about. He lost his battle with his demons and he overdosed and he left his family for good. Heartbroken. She was raising money to bury him by September 9th. Weeks had gone by after Chris's death. She felt sad, alone, but this time was different. She wasn't going to get any late night calls or promises to come visit the boys and her. Besides, she'd been feeling this way before his death. This just made it real. Her friend always talked about how she used a dating app called Tagged, where she met local guys, so Jessica thought that she might give it a chance too. Whether she was bored, lonely, or she just wanted someone to talk to, she decided to put her profile picture up. Jessica, blah, 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 36, blah, 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 single mom of 3, blah, 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 enjoys, blah, blah, blah. And that's when they met. Just like that. And his name was Jamal. Jessica was taken aback. Was this real? I mean, he was beautiful. And the two, they had great conversations on the phone. and she was just loving his profile picture. If she wasn't talking to him on the phone, she was just thinking in her head how fantastic he looked and how she just couldn't wait till she finally got a chance to actually see him face to face. She even showed this picture to her girlfriend. And Jamal was certainly a catch. Things were really looking up. Don't get me wrong, Jamal was just as excited about Jessica. The next day they decided to meet at a local lounge in town that they were both familiar with for lunch and a face-to-face conversation. She curled her hair, put a little bit of makeup on, changed 3 times, and then she was on her way to meet him at the lounge. When she got there, she waited, and she waited, and she called him, and she waited, and he didn't pick up, and she was pissed, and she left, and she went home, extremely upset, with every right to be. He gave her some excuse of why he couldn't be there at the time. He just kept apologizing profusely. Everything that they had talked about can come true for her, for him, for both of them if she just forgave him. She told him she had to get her mom to babysit. She curls her hair. She doesn't curl her hair for just anyone. But they agreed to meet again. And Jamal stood her up again with another lame-ass excuse. Jessica was done with him, done with tagged. She collected her children and told her mom she was stood up yet again. Her mom told her to be careful meeting these strange men over the internet. Jessica assured her that it was okay. She was going to be just fine. Jamal would text. Sometimes she would respond, sometimes she wouldn't. She told him that she wasn't going to meet him anymore, that she felt like he was playing games. Maybe he had a girlfriend, or worse, maybe he even had a wife. He said he wanted to come clean, and Jessica prepared herself for the "I'm getting a divorce" speech. But it wasn't that. He said he didn't have a car. Is that all? He said he was embarrassed. She offered to pick him up. He said he would get a ride to her house, and she suggested that they meet at the lounge. It wasn't far from her house, and she wasn't sure if he'd really show up again this time. Jessica told him to call her when he got to the lounge. So she waited at home, looking at the phone, almost feeling foolish. She hoped she didn't fall for this yet again. But Jamal texted. He was there, and he added he couldn't wait to see her. Jessica's heart dropped, and she texted back, and she told him that she was on her way. She hopped in her Mercury Mountaineer, overly excited, and headed to the lounge. He told her he would be standing in the front, and when she pulled up, he wasn't there. No one was there. She got out the car and she opened the door to the restaurant to see if he was inside before she would make her way back home and block Jamal for good. When she opened up the door, there was a guy in there at the counter, and boy, oh boy, she asked, "You're not Jamal, are you?"
Please say yes.
I mean,
Please
she
say
knew
yes.
this
Please
wasn't
say yes.
Jamal because Jamal told her what he was wearing, and this gorgeous man didn't have on that. But he responded,
Jamal is a very
but
lucky
Jamal's a lucky guy. She closed the door, smiling. Wow. She went back outside to her car, thinking, if Jamal isn't here in 10 minutes, I'm going to be a lucky girl. She said in her head she was going to give Jamal 5 more minutes. If he wasn't there, she's blocking him and she's going back inside that diner. That's when a man started to walk towards her, smiling. Oh gosh, Jessica was hoping this wasn't him, but she knew it was, down to everything that he said he was going to wear. She gave him a hug. She really was reluctant to even do that. He asked her what the problem was. She told him that profile, that wasn't you. That's what the problem is. Jessica had been catfished. She tried to enjoy the evening anyway. She told him that they could still be friends, but he had lied about who he was and what he looked like. There wouldn't be any future romances between them. He understood and agreed that they would just be friends. She didn't even want to go inside where the hot black guy was, and she had lost her appetite by now. The two went back to her house to watch a movie. That's the plans that they had made before she found out he lied. She put anything in the DVD player, but she just really wanted this evening to be over. On the sofa, she scooted away from him, pretending she was grabbing remotes, cups of water, anything, because he was really trying to get romantic, and it just wasn't happening. She just didn't have anything for him. She explained to him again, that wasn't you in the profile picture. I mean, he acted as if he was just as shocked as she was. Jessica kept telling him that he lied, so he grew argumentative. She told him she was just ready to take him back to the lounge, and he would just have to wait on his ride there, but he refused to go. Jessica's girlfriend around this time had texted her to ask her how the date was going and how Jamal looked, and Jessica responded with a smile on her face. She said, "A pumpkin head." Jessica was also trying to do anything to get him to leave. He asked her who was she texting, and she told him, "My girlfriend." And she asked, "What you look like?" And Jamal responded, "What did you say?" Jessica responded, "I told her you look like a pumpkin head." And he muttered the words underneath his breath, "Pumpkin head." She didn't want to hurt his feelings, but he was just getting on her nerves, and she was just over everything. She didn't feel the same way that she thought she felt before. And she even told him a date was coming over. She texted a male friend to have him come over to act like he was the date, but he said he didn't want to be any parts of it, so he didn't come. She tried everything. Nothing was working, and Jamal was really refusing to go. Jamal didn't understand how could she have another man coming over when that evening was reserved for him. Jamal got up, pissed off, and left the house. Jessica was relieved and more relieved when her father finally showed up. Jamal had started texting. He said he was just a few houses down from hers, and he was waiting for his cousin to come pick him up. He hadn't got there yet. As she texted Jamal back and forth while nothing further was going to ever be between them, she clued her father in on what had just happened. It was a little bit after midnight, and Jessica really just wanted this night over. She was done with Tag, and she was most definitely done with Jamal, and done talking about how he fooled someone. Let him go fool somebody else. Jamal asked Jessica, would he take her home? She told him that she could drop him off at the lounge. He could wait there for his cousin, and they closed late, and he agreed with that. Jessica asked her father to come ride with her. She'd been arguing with this man all night, and she just didn't want to argue with him anymore. He lied, plain and simple. She was catfished. It was done. Her father was just supposed to be there to keep Jamal from bringing up the fact that the two of them were never going to be in any kind of romantic relationship ever. So her father said Jessica was going to treat him to a beer after all this, and Jessica agreed. As soon as Jessica opened the front door to the house, there was Jamal, standing right there on the porch. Jamal and Jessica's father acknowledged one another with a head nod and headed to Jessica's SUV. Jessica got in behind the wheel, her dad on the passenger seat, and Jamal opened up the back doors and slid in the back seat. Around 1:51 a.m., on the side of the road near 4th Street and Garden Road, a passerby spotted a black SUV oddly parked in the traffic. It looked like it had occupants inside, maybe drunk, maybe hurt. 911 was dialed. When the police arrived, they took a look in the car. Later on, it was found that the people inside that SUV was Robert Template Jr., 56 years old. He had been shot to the back of the head. And Jessica Mayon-Troulliet, 36 years old. She had been shot to the back of the head. Her cell phone was stolen and it was discarded several blocks from Jamal's home. Now, through excellent detective work, such as surveillance, GPS, phones pinging, detectives were able to see that Jessica's phone and Jamal's phone stayed married until it was discarded. Jamal did tell the detectives that he had met Jessica and he was annoyed that she had another date when he was supposed to be spending the evening with her. Jamal said he left and walked to his father's house, and his cousin, Jamal Gabriel, 34, had came to give him a ride home. Jamal was arrested and charged in a double murder. His cousin, who was out on bond, was arrested on October 21st for accessory after the fact. He says he's innocent and he knew nothing about the murders, and he pled not guilty. Now, Jamal Harris, he also pled not guilty. Ironically, the court date is for next month, and it's on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2022. How fitting for a woman who just wanted love. I will leave in the description box the article I used if you want to know more about how Jamal Harris was found and the detective work that led up to him being the number one suspect. I spoke with Christina Savoy, Jessica's mother. She talked about how she lost her father due to COVID in 2019. She felt that was the worst thing that could have happened in her life until she lost her daughter, and in such a senseless manner. She has all three of Jessica's boys, her grandsons. It's hard, it's exhausting, but she's doing it. Never in a million years she would ever think something like this would happen. Do you know the oldest son gets bullied and teased because of the brutal way that his mother died? Wow, right? The world we live in. She also told me that she does not hate Jamal's mother. Of course his mother didn't know that he was out there doing things like this. She just wants justice for her daughter. To murder two people because you felt you were rejected, because you were called Pumpkinhead? Believe it or not, situations like this happen. I did a story about Richard McCroskey. I will leave that in the description box. Somewhat similar, but still awful. My heart truly goes out to Jessica's mother, Richard Template's family as well, and most definitely those children that were left behind to lose both parents within a month of each other for reasons that could have been prevented somehow. The children are getting help, but the scars will always be there. Jamal Harris had been locked up for armed robbery in the past, so he was a convicted felon. It was even said that he had been out of jail 30 days before this occurred. I don't know, but if that's true, that's horrible. But you know what? It wouldn't have mattered if it was 30 days or 30 years. What he did was terrible. And I'm not even sure that Jessica knew that he was a convicted felon, because Jessica probably wasn't even privy to this information if she wasn't privy to a real photo of him. Mrs. Savoy, she spoke about her grandsons, saying the oldest boys will remember their mother, but she knows that the youngest one won't. She says the youngest sometimes will call her Mama. She corrects him and says, I'm Grandma. His older brothers will tell their grandmother to just let the baby call her Mama. She says, no, I'm Grandma. And one day he will know he had a mother and who she was. Of course, I plan to follow this case to the very end. Rest in peace, Jessica, and justice for Jessica.
Dad,
Yeah, babe.